The National Indigenous Disaster Resilience, NIDR, as we like to call it, is a research program national in scope, and we work with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities who've been impacted by major disaster events. Think fires, floods, cyclones, major heat waves, those kind of disasters.
The National Indigenous Disaster Resilience program provides nation-leading research and is an authoritative voice on matters that impact Indigenous communities in times of crisis, disruption and peril. But just as importantly, it models a more sophisticated and a much more integrated way of conceptualising, designing and conducting research, a way that places community, culture and country at its centre.
First Nations communities are the most affected by climate change. We're seeing it just not in urban but rural and remote context as well. It's so important that the work of climate change, climate action is happening in our communities, and not just platformed but profiled nationally and internationally.
Through working with Aboriginal communities, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, really understanding Indigenous perceptions of these natural hazards, when you start to do that, engage with, say, fires, floods and cyclones from Indigenous perspectives, the meaning of these events changes. And so what might we learn from the latent resilience of Indigenous communities, from ancestral knowledge of country, of managing country, and of living with these hazards? There's a deep well of knowledge there available to new Australia if only there were more ears to listen.
We need healthy country, we need country that's cared for, we need connection to that country, and they're all the lessons that First Nations people can teach to us. And we know that when country is healthy, when you keep water on country, then you've got less risk of floods and less risk of bushfires. All those things are better off. So their knowledge, their practices are really fundamental to all of those practices.
Look at it this way, that Glawak has a massive cultural estate, and that cultural estate is often impacted by really, really severe weather events, and in this part of the world it's mainly bushfires. What NIDA does do is actually amplifies best practice around the place, that Glawak and the Gunai-Kurnai people are actually not alone in their struggles to recover after an incident.
Being able to get everyone together, get mob and researchers and policymakers together and just try and help build relationships, produce outcomes that really make the work that we do reliable, I guess, in decision making, and being able to provide more opportunities for community.
Most often we are the front line to these disasters. Local leadership ensures that disasters are responded to not just respectfully but with dignity as well, and we hold the trust and the knowledge of the community that the mainstream services and systems just don't hold.
We're talking about systems that were designed in colonial Australia, systems designed not just without Indigenous input or Indigenous knowledges or perspectives, but systems that were designed to deliberately exclude them. And so changing those systems is a generational and intergenerational challenge.
Why things like NIDA are so important is because when we look at funding and the way that the system works, it's really hard to get a seat at the table. NIDA really push that national conversation and advocate for the smaller orgs on the ground.
It starts by identifying discriminatory laws that disempower traditional owners to protect country at the precise moments that their country is most vulnerable. It begins by eliminating racism when communities are evacuated so that they feel safe to access relief centres.
The really good thing about NIDA is that they've got the connections, they've got the trust, and they're working really well with community. And so I think there's a huge support that other organisations, other government institutions and nationally we can do to support NIDA.
So we go in after a major disaster has unfolded to really find out what happened for that community, for that Aboriginal community in particular, and ask the question, did what happened to that community happen to everyone else, or is there a unique Aboriginal experience of these disasters? We usually find that there is, and then that's when our work really begins.
As I think about collaboration, there's things that universities sometimes have in their dilly bag, or most of the time, that we don't have. And when research questions are asked, you guys have some pretty amazing access to data and information. What's good about that? That really augments some of the traditional ecological knowledge, and bringing those two things together is what sort of ratchets up and strengthens some of the relationships.
The National Indigenous Resilience Program demonstrates the strength and the integrity of Indigenous-led research and the profound difference that it makes not only to academic understanding, but also to its impact and its outcomes.
NIDR represents an alternate way to do research, to collaborate effectively, to generate new knowledge, not from communities, but genuinely with them, and in a way that respects their Indigenous cultural and intellectual property and data sovereignty, and provides them the knowledge that they need to promote self-determining futures, and to exercise their inherent sovereignty over their lands and waters and over their people. And I think that's a model of research that all universities all over the world could learn from, because it does exist and we are doing it, and we're very proud of it.
Collaborating with NIDA has meant that First Nations response has gone from a well-respected grassroots organisation to one of a trusted authority. It's given us a national footprint. It's meant that we've been able to hold the mirror to the government to say, this is the data, this is what we're working with.
There's a huge number of opportunities to promote First Nations people in the emergency services workforce. I mean, just in terms of organisations that we have already, the sort of government type, land management and fire agencies. Also in terms of Aboriginal-led community organisations and ranger groups to better support and build capacity so that First Nations groups themselves can look after themselves and their communities and their country as well.
Our partnership with NIDA is really important. Like Jagoon is a Caring for Country organisation. We do on-country fire and flood. We're also doing policy and research and sort of strategy influencing, like landholders and government, and working with NIDA is just a really great way to extend, I guess, the learning that we're having.
First Nations people have so much knowledge that in a way we should be giving them the respect to often lead. Non-First Nations people, agencies need to learn to step back a little bit and relinquish some of that power and let First Nations people take the lead and to lead us.
As an example, today we're here on Kono country learning from the rangers and they're demonstrating, and some other people are here like the Jagoon team to kind of share what we're learning around cultural fire and different applications of fire.
Research programs like National Indigenous Disaster Resilience, they are innovative, and it takes a brave institution to back research initiatives like this one, because we don't just want to do interesting work, the way we want to do it is different. Frankly, a program like this would not be able to operate, it would not exist without a safe and supportive environment within which to incubate and grow and normalise and expand. Monash University has been that space, and we're incredibly thankful for that opportunity.